Alright, let's get to it. See the Light by Less Than Jake is a great release from a great band. It is definitely worth a listen, and it is most definitely worth the money. Truth be told, there's been some real difficulty on my part in putting this review together. See, I try to be objective, to confine the discussion to strictly what's pressed on the disc. But this is Less Than Jake, and I found it very difficult to review this CD without also talking about what this band has meant to me over the years. I remember being a freshman in high school and picking up Losing a Street, not really knowing what to expect. From the first time the horns kicked in on automatic, I was completely and totally hooked. I'd be hard-pressed to cite a band who contributed more to the soundtrack of my life. Less Than Jake were my first real introduction to the genre of ska. Matter of fact, I think the first time I'd even heard the word ska was in the lyrics for Johnny Quest. Many years ago, the ska seed was planted in my brain, and those roots run deep today. My life would be for poor were it not for ska music. I remember being a senior in high school and driving my Subaru aimlessly through town, cranking borders and boundaries, not really sure where I was going. I remember seeing Less Than Jake touring in support of that album with Anti-Flag back in the day. So it was a real treat to see them both again as part of the Fat Records 2013 tour. I'm able to reckon my own life through their album chronology. B is for B-sides, I was still running cross country back when that came out. GNVFLA, I was training for a marathon and volunteering for the Obama campaign. TVEP, I was leaving the continental US for the first time. Greetings and salutations, my mom had cancer. She got better, so that story was a happy ending. Point being, I look forward to every release by Less Than Jake. Has the importance of the band in any way affected my review of this CD? Of course. I mean, how could it not? But as a seasoned Less Than Jake fan, this latest release is really something special. Alright, enough intro, let's dive in. Talk about kicking off a record right. This first track, Good Enough, it's just such an energetic lead-in. For me, it has a lot of similarities with Automatic, another track one. The energetic tempo, that strong, hard-hitting line from the horn section. This is a song that just really gets you pumped for the rest of the CD. It's a killer intro track, and just a great way to kick things off. This was the song they opened the Portland show with, and it was just a great opener. Something fresh and new, but still with a lot of the old sound mixed in. I also think they're doing a hell of a good job promoting this album. To that end, if you haven't seen the music video for My Money Is a Long Shot, go ahead and pause the review right here and go watch it. I mean, there's just so many cool folks on that video. I love the sense of community, and it's really cool to see that tip of the hat to the other folks who've been part of the journey. Definitely like keeping your friends close. I'm going to try and not give a play-by-play for each and every single track, as that makes for kind of a boring review, but in keeping with the sequential order just a bit longer, Chris's vocals on Jump are just awesome. There's some real power when he sings the lightning speed lyric. So at the live show, they were talking up how Do the Math was getting some radio play. I'm going to have to call my local stations because it's missing from the Albany, Oregon airwaves. To that song's credit, I can see why this one would make for a great single. The chorus just has a great hook and is instantly memorable. Still, for me, I think my favorite track, by a fairly wide margin, is Bless the Cracks. I'm just absolutely crazy about this track. And I'd go so far as to put it on my own personal top 10 Less Than Jake tracks. And that's no easy feat considering they've released more than 200 tracks at this point. I mean, The top 10 should be set in stone at this point. Yet here comes a new track demanding its inclusion. And hell, who knows, maybe one of these days I'll sit down and make a video outlining my own personal top 10 list. At any rate, it's a fucking great track, and a real high point of the album. I just love the build-up. The guitar lead-in is awesome, and the drums and horns that join in, it's just a solid track, start to finish. I suppose in the sense of offering up some genuine criticism of the CD, I would say the latter half of the album doesn't quite match the energy and intensity of the first 6 tracks. There's a definite A-sides, B-sides feel, but perhaps that may have been intentional. For me, I'm always glad to see the CD make the full circuit so we can kick things off again with good music. That's not to say there aren't good tracks on the second half. There most certainly are. I find John the Baptist's Bones to have a certain bright and jangly quality that makes it immediately unique. It's interesting, and I like to hear that sound explored a bit more on potential future releases. I also really like the manic pace of A Short History Lesson, keeping that rapid-fire tempo all throughout. I definitely have to give props to the horns section on this CD. There's something about the brass on the CD that's undeniably catchy from start to finish. And there's a perfect balance between the horn section, the vocals, and the instrumentals. It really strikes that perfect balance, where everything just fits so well together. No one part outshines another. Everything is mixed to perfect clarity, and it sounds amazing. Do I like this CD? Hell yes, I do. It's established a near permanent residence in my car CD player. The same car CD player that spun borders and boundaries for who knows how many revolutions back in the day. And I stare at that familiar odometer reading tens of thousands of miles later and can't help but feel blessed for how great the journey was. As a side note, I'm incredibly glad I bought a physical copy of this CD. There's something comforting knowing that this CD is spinning in the same player that nearly wore out my copy of Borders and Boundaries. And as much as I might gripe about the clutter of physical media, I'm really not ready to say goodbye to the era of measuring music in RPM. And See the Light makes for a great soundtrack to this non-stop spinning world. As crazy as it may sound, I've found the secret to time travel. Apparently all it takes is an old Subaru and a new Less Than Jake CD, and I'm 17 again. So I ask you, have you seen